There is.
So what you're trying to tell me is this looks like an attempt from a government monopoly to tax us when we go to the bathroom.
I was going to get to that point. You know, a sewer line in front of your house. These fees are pretty expensive to tap into them, and if you're not allowed to dig a septic tank, it's actually, I guess we could call it a poop tax, Senator.
Introduction of a bill by Senator Bryant. It amends the code so as to require the issuance of a permit to have a well drilled on a parcel of land that's been unencumbered access to a water line. Adds a section to require the issuance of a septic tank permit for a parcel of land that has unencumbered access to a sewer line.
Senator from Anderson, for what purpose do you rise?
I'd like to be heard on introduction of this bill.
Senator from Anderson's recognized for some introductory remarks. Please give him your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. This is America. In America, I can't think of a more sacred right than property rights. Whether it's a 100-foot square piece of land that you've bought, or you've gone to a bank and you've put your name on a loan and borrowed it, or whether it's 100 acres or whether it's 200 acres, it's your piece of dirt. And, Mr. President, members of the Senate, we have a regulation that says if there's a sewer line on your street, you are automatically prohibited from digging a septic tank. Government tells you what to do with your waste on your own land. Now, I know there's environmental concerns with septic tanks and all that sort of thing, and we still need to take those into consideration. But to automatically deny a landowner the ability to install a septic tank simply because there's a sewer line in front of his house, I think is totally, totally wrong. Now, they'll tell you that they've invested in this infrastructure and they've invested in this sewer line. Well, you know what? I've invested in a pharmacy. And I'd love it if government would prevent someone from opening up a store across the street to protect my investment, but that's just not right. And in some places in the state, not all over, you can't dig a well if there's a water line on your street. I just think that's wrong. If it's your piece of land, if it's your property, there's no reason why a government should tell you that you can't dig a well and that you can't install a septic tank unless there's some environmental concerns that might be a bad thing to somebody's water source or whatever.
Senator from Spartanburg, for what purpose do you rise?
To see if the senator from Anderson would yield for a question.
Senator
Yes, sir.
yields. Senator yields.
Senator, it's very interesting that you bring this bill up today. Did you know that I got an email from a constituent yesterday? And it's still on my computer right now.
Well, Senator, I saw you intently in the middle of answering your emails yesterday. I didn't want to interrupt you because it looked like your train of thought was really focused. But why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. I was very focused in answering emails yesterday. And he says that his church, that there's talking about a law to put a meter on the well at their church so that Spartanburg County could monitor their water flow out of their own well.
I just don't understand, Senator, why it's government's role to monitor a well at this church. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Would your bill help with that problem if that were to
I'm
come
not
about?
sure if my bill would address that issue, but certainly it would be a good vehicle to maybe amend it along the way.
So this issue, in your opinion, would you say that this bill, it would possibly be germane if we found out all of this was true, that we might need to amend your bill to try to protect, you know, a church, much less a private property owner? This is a church.
You could even call this religious persecution, Senator, couldn't you? If you're denying a church the amount of water they dig out of the well that they paid for?
If they can monitor that, what's next?
What's next?
What is next? What are they going to monitor? Are they going to have to monitor the collection plate next?
They very well could. They monitor where you put your waste.
This is. Would you say this is just another protection of our freedom and liberty that our founders granted us in the Constitution?
I absolutely would call it that, Senator. If a homeowner, if a property owner wants to tap into the sewer line instead of have a septic system, that should be their choice. If they want to tap into the water line instead of digging a well, that should be their choice. It's just unconscionable to me that government is making that decision for the private property owner, and in this case, a place of worship.
Did you know that I have a well at my house?
I did not know that.
And did you know that my wife and I made the choice to tap on to city water?
I would probably say your wife made that decision and you went along with it, unless things work differently in your house than they do mine.
Did you know you're very astute?
I try to be.
Senator from Newberry, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, Senator Yield for question.
Yes, sir.
Senator Yield.
Senator, I apologize. I was outside in the lobby there. I didn't hear your bill. But is this bill? I was apprised of a situation about a month ago by some folks who install wells and all that sort of stuff. There's a town in the Low Country that they passed an ordinance that said that you could not drill a well on your property. You had to connect to the town water if you were there. Is that what this bill is?
There are municipalities, there are water districts that have ordinances that the private property owner must, if they want water, must tap into the water line, and they are prohibited from digging their own well. And my point is, Senator, this is a property rights issue.
It is, Senator. And did you know that what this gentleman told me was in this particular town and this particular ordinance was you could already have a well, but if something happened to your well, you could not fix it or drill another well. You had to now tap on to that city water and sewer. And Senator, I'll have to agree with you. I think that is an infringement on your property rights as a property owner. You've got the right to do anything as long as you don't affect someone around you with like onerous smells or bad looks or something like that. You've got the right to do basically what you want to. You've got mineral rights on your property. You can dig for gold or whatever the case may be on your property, but you can't dig a well for water. I mean, that's only common sense. So, Mr. President, I would, if you're introducing that bill, I'd like to be, with unanimous consent, added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Senator.
Without objection. Senator from Spartanburg, for what purpose do you rise?
Will the senator yield?
Mr. President, is this the senator to my left from Spartanburg asking this?
I'm looking in that direction.
Yes, I'll take your question.
Senator, were you aware that they tax us when we earn income?
I'm quite well aware of that.
And have you ever noticed that they tax us when we eat lunch?
They do?
And have you ever noticed that they've got a death tax now?
They have a death tax?
How about property taxes? You ever notice those?
Very well of property taxes.
Did you notice on your water bill there's a tax?
There is?
So what you're trying to tell me is this looks like an attempt from a government monopoly to tax us when we go to the bathroom.
I was going to get to that point. A sewer line in front of your house, these fees are pretty expensive to tap into them. And if you're not allowed to dig a septic tank, it's actually, I guess we could call it a poop tax, Senator. Thank you, Mr. President.
Reading clerk will read.